Welcome back, Bitcoin. Welcome back, altcoins. There's a lot happening in the macro markets. Apparently, Trump's having a meeting with China. Part of the reason why we see Bitcoin up over $108,000. Did you buy the dip? Hopefully you did. Today's a very special show. We have Nick joining us, who is an absolute rock star when it comes to the virtuals ecosystem. We're going to get his take on some of the new agents launching in Genesis. What are some of his favorite plays? And how he scouts out which projects are worth those virgin points. Ethereum has been crushing it on inflows, being the sole positive inflow ETF in the entire market. Last week, how much money is flowing into ETH, and could we see a big breakout moving forward? One of the largest banks in the world is looking to get into the stablecoin space. What does that mean for the rest of the markets? We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content where we take old, boring, stale information, repackage it up in a fun, sexy way, and well, we are back. You know what? 109,000. Here we come. New all-time highs coming this week. When will it hit? You like how I said, is coming this week.
Yeah.
It is a certainty that we will hit 112,000 this week. I've actually,
For someone who says I'm dumb money all the time, you literally say the most dumb money stuff every time we go live.
it's not dumb money if you're right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
for sure. Yeah, for sure, man.
You're not a loser if you win.
Wow, dude. No way, bro. That's
That's it,
insane. Now, I was talking to my mom yesterday on the phone.
112,000.
Talking to my mom yesterday on the phone. Mom, I love you. She's like, hey, every time you go live, I always make sure to hit the like button. I'm like, Mom, thank you. I love you. So if my mom can hit the like button and she doesn't ever go on YouTube, I'm sure you can too. So make sure to like the video. Mom, if you're watching, I love you. All right, let's start with BTC. Bitcoin price bounces past $105,000. Is a full-blown rally back on the cards. Rob, when you take a look at a Bitcoin chart, these dips are getting eaten up very, very fast. Look at that sharp V-shaped recovery, my friend, as we dipped right at that 100.4K level. And these are hourly candles, Robin. We just had a massive move up. We caught some resistance at that 105.8 level. Broke above, retested, and then came back to push to that 108.3. What this tells me is a few things. One, we're in a bull market, but we already knew that. Two, these dips are getting eaten up very, very quickly. And I would recommend, of course, we don't give financial advice here.
I do.
Okay. But I would recommend when you see Bitcoin have moves like this off of some, exogenous news, 5.5% in 9 hours. People are buying these dips. And well, if you got dry powder on the sidelines, it's for these reasons. Because if you had that dry powder and you did buy the dip, let's say at $100,900, you'd be sitting on a 7.5% return in a matter of like 2 days. Pretty damn good. You average that over the whole year. Well, you do the math. I'm not doing that kind of math here right now live, but there you go. Rob, we're going to look back at this. It's going to be a little blip in the charts here. But what does the current price action of Bitcoin tell you? Are you kind of in line with my thesis on, because the charts and price action tells the story, right? And so what are your thoughts on this move and how Bitcoin's rebounded fairly nicely over the weekend?
It's I look at this. So this chart for me here is something that I take away here on the 1 week. And so it's a significant breakout without any retest. You see that, we hit 107.8, came down to 107.1, and That was very brief. So from 107.9, basically 108 down, the smallest little retest ever. And then boom, we're off to 108. It just looks very appealing for a long position. Now, I know that sometimes you want to come back and retest the previous zone like 105 and then put it in a long position, but man, I feel very good about this breakout. I don't know. I just look on the 1 week. So for me, I started to feel a little bit of a reversal on Sunday. Basically, yesterday, you could see this Bitcoin price get up to 106, came back down to 105. This was it right here. For me, this was the this price action yesterday was what gave me confidence that this breakout is going to last, bro. I don't think we saw something similar. So we went from 102. So we went from this 102, 103, and we had that very strong breakout, put in a new all-time high. This was about 2.5 weeks ago. And then we ultimately lost it. We did trade above the 102 mark over here at 105. So we came back with a little bit more strength after this last all-time high. But I think that this week coming up, you're going to get that big candle that everyone has been waiting for. We have yet to see it. I suppose you could say that 70,000, 80,000 range up to 100 that we got earlier this year. This one here, this 60,000 to 100K. Almost, roughly about a 50% move there. I think we outperformed that, man. I think we get a 60% move.
A what?
A 60% move. I think we go up
What time frame?
in a similar time frame that we had here.
Which is
So November we went from 70,000. Okay, well let's go from so we'll go from October. So from October we were down at 60,000 flat.
okay.
And then December we were at 100K. And so 2 months.
About a 70%.
So I think 2 months you get let's say a 60% move.
Which would put Bitcoin's price
at
at
185, 180. I think 180.
no, like 60% move from here, $66,000,
66 plus
110. Yeah, about 170. Yeah, so you're right. 175.
We'll say 175. I think you get something very similar to what we saw here. Basically, where
Rob,
we go up to 106. So we hit 106 right back in December, and then we pulled back down to 94. And so I think you get something similar like that. I think we get this big green candle coming up this week.
Here's the thing, though, Rob.
So just my final insight. I think we get a big green candle going into the next 60 days. I don't know how volatile it is. I don't know if it comes mostly in a 1 week period. I don't know. But I'd say in the next 60 days, 170,000 something Bitcoin, and then we pull back down to 150.
That would go against the trend. Take a look at this. Take a look at this on my computer here. So we talk about summer being very slow from an investment standpoint. Q3, which is July, August, September, right in the dead middle of summer, is the worst. Was the worst average return when you talk about quarterly returns for BTC at 6% when everything else is 27, 51, 85. So are you saying that the trend is going to be bucked? We've already had
Where's the current trend at? I want to see what. Yeah, but you had like back in 2019, you had the 159% run.
No, that's Q2, my friend. I'm talking
Q3.
I
know. I'm just saying that. I think that, and then look at the 2017. You had the 123% run. And then you had the 62% run. I know these are all Q2. I'm very aware of this. What I'm saying is that this bull market cycle, okay, so you had 2021 as an example. You ran 100%. That was an oddball, right? You could say like, hey, that month, that Q1 never ran that hard, right? Don't go back to 2013. Stop. So 2021 ran 100% in Q1. So that was very strange. So I know at the time, people were like, yup, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so that was the bull market run. That was the God candle that we got in 2021. That was coming out of COVID. That was when, we went from that wick low of 3,000 up to
3,800?
essentially, like $27,000, $30,000 Bitcoin. Also, 2019, very strong Q2. Look at the last bull market cycle before that was 2017. Go down.
Before 2021?
Yeah, so you had 2021 and you had 2017. So you had the 123,000 in Q2.
We've never
123.
We've never had this like we did in 2017. Every single quarter was in the green. I mean, 2017 was massive.
That was when you went from hey, this is just something we buy and speculate, and this was
2017 was ICOs.
Yeah, that's where real money came in, right? Before 2017, it was just kind of gimmicky, right? That was when Bitcoin was in the hundreds. When you're talking about 2013 to 2016, you're talking about sub $1,000.
Yeah, I think 2017 and on is where if you're aggregating data for historical price action.
Basically, what I'm getting at is every quarter of a bull market, there is a massive 3-figure run up, right?
Huge.
I was saying 2017, you had a 3-figure run up, 100% gains.
Straight up.
2021, you had a 100% plus gain.
That's what I'm getting.
Do you not think we're going to get 100%?
Listen, man, I don't know. You're asking me hard.
Because you didn't get it in Q2.
Listen, man, I asked one simple question. Where are we going with this, Rob?
We're getting 100. We're getting a big.
So is the trend going to get bucked or not?
The trend that you get one giant quarter every freaking year is coming this quarter.
Okay, so the trend will get bucked.
Maybe it comes Q4, but I'm pretty sure it comes Q3.
Q4 is the most bullish quarter in Bitcoin's history. Anyway, so the answer to my question to Rob was yes. I do have a little AMA up, and Rob, there's a question from Muhammad said, "Hey Rob, do you love me?"
Not today.
Not today. Fair enough. But don't feel bad, Muhammad, because he doesn't really love anyone except his bird.
That's right.
Now,
shout out to my boy Larry. It's my little chicken nugget, you know. It's my boy.
Wow. Awesome, man. Strategy has acquired another 1,045 BTC for $110.2 million at an average of $105,426 per Bitcoin. I don't ever read the yield stuff. They now have 582,000 Bitcoin even that they acquired for $40.79 billion, and their average price now is up to $70,000. Not a bad investment. Might run out of Bitcoin for you, Mr. Saylor. But last week wasn't the story of Bitcoin, Rob. It was the story of none other than your favorite altcoin, Ethereum. U.S. spot ETH ETF flows have now seen inflows for 15 trading days in a row, totaling $837 million. Rob, take a look at this. From CoinShares, flows by asset. Robin, look at the screen.
I see it.
Are you sure? Because you're not looking, because you don't want to see it.
I saw the numbers.
You don't want to see
I went into the
Ethereum.
weekend. I went into the weekend.
You're such a hater. You don't even want to look at the numbers. Look at the numbers, damn it. Thank you very much. Bitcoin, minus 56 million. Ethereum, what's that number, Rob? $295 million of inflows.
Are you buying Ethereum now or something?
I have Ethereum. I haven't sold it.
Are you going to buy some more?
I don't know. Too late to buy now. Well, not too late.
Like the guy giving marital advice that's divorced. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you're telling people how bullish you are on Ethereum, but yet
Ethereum.
You're not willing to buy.
I bought some sub $2,000. I have my price targets. But all jokes aside, it was a pretty massive week. Things are heating up for ETH. Rob, with these kind of numbers, are you expecting a big move?
I think it gives the fuel for a breakout when Bitcoin gets to new all-time highs. I am looking, I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at that $2,500 Ethereum with Bitcoin on the precipice of breaking new all-time highs. Inflows, I can't ignore them, man. You know what? I was looking at them last weekend. I didn't need to look at the charts.
Yeah.
Because it was either yesterday or Saturday. I was sitting there, I don't know where I saw that same post, but I was just going through it and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, That's a lot of Ethereum. There is a massive amount of accumulation. Is it got to do a retail? Is institutions putting a position there on ETH? I don't really know where exactly the flows are coming from. It's a lot of ETH. And the fact that ETH had that early breakout, that's the ETH chart right there?
Is the ETH on the
Yeah,
daily?
that breakout there, I think, is one smaller breakout of a big one to come. And I think that when you look at an ETH previous all-time high at just about $5,000, I think it would be kind of silly to think that we don't get to $5,000 in the short term. So let's do this. If Bitcoin gets to $170,000, what you're gonna see is something very reminiscent to that traditional altcoin season where ETH breaks out. It's $6,300 as an example, and then altcoins absolutely rip. I think that's gonna happen. I've been asleep at the wheel with ETH up until this point, with good reason.
Rob, you haven't been asleep at the wheel. You've literally taken the wheel off of the hinges and you've thrown it in the garbage.
Well,
And you're driving without a wheel.
I pulled it out of the garbage. Actually, I attached the steering wheel to the dumpster, and now I'm driving the dumpster. So,
Only you would say that.
because it's still not the right vehicle for me on layer ones. It's just not as efficient. If you're going to be the world's internet computer, essentially what Ethereum is trying to be, well, speed it up.
Warm it up. Na, 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 na.
No.
Vitalik's
Absolutely
waiting.
not.
Na, na,
Stop.
na.
No.
What? You're a hater. You see this, Gina? He's such a hater. Sure hating on me, Gina. Gina appreciates me. Maybe she doesn't. Okay, let's move on from ETH. And so I'm curious what the chat thinks. You guys think we see a $6,000 plus ETH by the end of July? Gives you about 2 months, right? That's Robin's time frame of his 60% move in Bitcoin. In 2 months, is ETH over $6,000? Put a 1 for yes, put a 2 for no. I'm genuinely curious what the chat thinks.
Yeah. 60% next 60 days for Bitcoin, 100%, 100+% for ETH next 60 days, followed by
Now,
300% run-ups for some of the top projects that have strong
let me
commitment.
ask you a question. Is the other altcoin rally contingent on ETH getting to that?
No,
6,000?
I just think that's just going to be the flow of money.
I think it is, man. If ETH doesn't get that run, you think altcoins still run?
Yeah, we've seen it so far. We've seen XRP run, and it's been few and far between on the alts, right? It's been this one's done well, this one's broken, new all-time highs. This one has not. This one has not.
A lot have not.
I think what'll happen is if ETH doesn't break out, we get more of what we already saw, which is projects that have large communities, that have big narratives, that have utility, that have a lot of people on there using it, are going to explode. And then the ones that don't will be the ones that don't have as many users. And if that happens to ETH, then I think it happens to a lot. I think if you see that $6,000 ETH, I think in a brief time window, maybe it's like 60 days, because we've seen it already, right?
Yeah.
When you had back in January of last year, you had a big run up where everything was breaking new all-time highs, then it cooled off. Then we just recently had another big run up, then it cooled off. But both of those windows of time were only a few weeks, right? Cardano broke all-time highs, and then it just sold off back in January, right?
Yeah.
Then Cardano, big run up again, and a couple months ago, then it sold off. I think you'll see the same thing as far as the time window. So if and when Bitcoin gets to that 170 mark, ETH gets to 6,000, everything's gonna rip. Everything. Some will do better than others. But the ones that, but it's gonna be short lived, and everything sells off, just like we've sing before.
Everything finna rip, dog. You know?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
Go.
Before I forget, I want to tell you guys that I'll be going live. So we're adjusting the time on the Sistine Trading. We're going to be going live at 2:30 Eastern, which is literally right after our show. So 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. And then moving forward, we'll be adding more time slots. And so if you enjoy trading and charts, sub to Sistine Trading. I'll be manning the stream today. Again, if you stay in the stream here at Sin City Crypto, you'll automatically be redirected. And then we'll see if we can put in some trades. Speaking of some trades, that one trade I put in at 107.150 is finally back in the green. This thing was like $550 down. You can see here it's about a $14,000 position, 14x long leverage on BTC. Via Buy DeFi. If you're not with Buy DeFi, it's no KYC, no VPN. Highly recommended here in the U.S. And so we are currently in the green, 15.14%. I want the chat to tell me, should I close my position now and take the profit? Should I let this thing ride back up to $110,000? I will do whatever the chat says. And I'll do it via a poll. Let me start a poll here. What to do with BTC trade? Sell now. Sell at 110K. Put your votes in. I will abide by the results of that poll. Do I sell now and take profits at 15%? Or do I wait till Bitcoin gets back up to 110K? Let me know. Whatever you guys want me to do, I'll make it happen. I'll do it. And then I did want to move on to this. Some macro non-crypto factors that, have something to do with crypto. Key economic events and crypto market trends this week. Rob, CPI gets released on Wednesday. Tuesday, we'll see several crypto-related discussions. And the big one here, Rob, the commencement of U.S.-China trade talks, both of which are noteworthy events. Take a look at this here from decrypt.co. Bitcoin, Solana rise as U.S. and China agree to trade talks ahead of a key bond auction. The price of Bitcoin and Solana rose on Monday, and, a lot of other altcoins as well, as members of U.S. President Donald Trump's trade team prepared to meet with Chinese officials in London. And then we had this just came out from Cointelegraph. Trump has authorized U.S. negotiators to ease export controls ahead of today's trade talks with China, which is going to be focused on rare earths and semiconductors. Rob, any key thoughts on this? And then once you're done with your key thoughts, please go ahead and take a peek at the markets.
So, are you getting exhausted of the tariff?
I am so exhausted.
Yeah.
I am so tired of winning. It's not even funny.
I don't know.
I've said this to a lot of people.
It's hard to gauge what effects the tariffs are having on crypto and the markets. Because at this point, it's been on again, off again. Hey, we're doing tariffs. Hey, we've relaxed the tariffs. So at some point, you got to ask yourself, like, when was this going to be in the rearview mirror? Because we are going to make all-time highs again in S&P 500. S&P 500 always goes up and to the right. Now, there's pullbacks, but the pullbacks are only brief and short and at most last a year and a half. And, we're about 4 months into the S&P 500 pullback. So basically where I'm getting at is that the markets are going to bounce back, and regardless of what's going on with the tariffs. And I think that the exhaustion is really set in. So, you look at, so just kind of taking a quick peek at the S&P 500, you can see that back in this February, we put in an all-time high. We're not far off of there. So, this pullback was essentially the scare from the tariffs, and we rebounded. And so it seems that we're not going back down, or we're not going to reverse the trend here. At least that's my personal opinion on the broader economy. I'm not a macroeconomist, so I have a little bit more good insight on when it comes to crypto, but I don't know. I have a pretty good feeling that the U.S. economy is going to keep rallying. S&P 500 is going to keep putting in new all-time highs, and I think that's because people are tired of the tariff situation. They've put in the rear view. They've already priced it in.
They're getting used to it.
They're getting used to it. Exactly. And that's to answer your tariff situation. And my perspective is it's old news. It'd be like if Elon tweeted something about Doge. Will Doge price pump up a little bit right then and there? Sure, maybe it goes up 5-10%. But
not to the same effect it used to have.
Exactly. The same thing with the tariffs. And so we're not shocking the markets because you know what? People already expect the tariffs. People know the tariffs are here. They know the tariffs aren't going to completely go away, and it's just part of the reality to it. So, that said, cool. We're off to the races. Bitcoin all-time high around the corner. Let's go.
Bow, 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 bow. Okay, let's look at the markets, Rob.
All right. So, you mentioned Solana. We talked a little bit about Solana there, and for me, look at the 1 year here. Solana, you got. If you look here at compared to Bitcoin, and so Bitcoin versus Solana here, it has not been pretty since the start of the year. So back in January, Bitcoin, Solana kind of hanging out. They essentially deviated, and Bitcoin has outperformed Solana to an extent that's even more dramatic than Ethereum. And so for me, I don't know, man. I think that a breakout here is coming as well. I know we talked about breakout potentially for Ethereum, but if Ethereum runs, I think Solana outperforms Ethereum, and it gets even closer to that market cap. I think it closes the gap. What's your feeling on Solana? And if you want to expand on Ethereum versus Solana price action, you can. But do you think that if we get this big move from Bitcoin, which you're anticipating a big move, right? Or am I in my own little camp here? You called me a moon boy or something like that, or
no,
BGen or dumb money. Yeah, dumb money. That's right. Question. So two-part question. Confirm new all-time highs, big breakout, large green candles out of Bitcoin next 60 days. If so, what's Solana look like?
So I would love to talk through this over kind of looking at the top 100 here. Okay, so you talk about Solana, 90 days, it's up 25%, sitting at $156. Solana got up to, let's look at the 1 year chart. Solana got up to 200, I believe it was like 279. I think the problem, Rob, I'm having with Solana, I don't think it's only a meme coin casino, although numbers say that 80 to 90% of transactions came from Pump.Fun and the meme coin casino. I do think there's more to Solana, but it just hasn't come to fruition. And when I say more to Solana, I think RWAs can thrive on Solana. I think stable coins are and will continue to thrive on Solana. We're just not seeing that.
It's interesting to bring up stable coins because everyone automatically goes to, when you think stable coins, you go to ETH, right?
Yeah.
ETH's kind of king there. You would, if you want lower transaction fees, you choose Base, which is once again on ETH. But I don't know. I think Solana. I don't know if they eat up that market share on the stable coins this go around. I think it ends up being just the DApp king, right? I think that if you're in Web3 and you're looking to build on a platform, and you got to have some exposure to Solana. If you don't have it right now, you're probably in talks to launching a DApp there or having some kind of bridge or having utility there.
The meta right now is Base, my friend, which is
it is
Ethereum.
I can't even argue with you. I can't even argue with you there. But to some degree, it's also Solana, right? If you're in Web3,
listen. If you like gambling, you either go to Vegas or you go to Solana. It's one of the two. I'm excited to bring our guest on today. It's his first time on the show, and he goes by Nick Plays Crypto. Nick, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great, man. I'm David. This is my co-host, Robin. The young lady you spoke to backstage is Gina, our technical director. Nick, I obviously follow you on X. I'm in your Discord.
Yeah.
You have been crushing it in the Virtuals ecosystem. Tell the audience a little bit about your background, yourself, and then how you got in so deep into really AI agents and Virtuals.
Ah, man, I've been trading cryptocurrency off and on since probably 2016. So, I got into I first got on X maybe a year and a half ago, I think. And, that was a little bit of a game changer. I really just kind of did my own research in random places before that. And then got on X, and obviously the flow of information was much higher quality there. And I did a lot of crypto gaming, but I quickly kind of became jaded on that whole meta. A lot of insiders, a lot of dumping on the investors and stuff like that. So lo and behold, come October of 2024, I got into virtuals a little bit, and at that time, no one kind of knew how big virtuals ecosystem on base was going to become. AI agents was still a relatively foreign concept to many, but I was having fun. It kind of felt like Solana's Pump Fun, which is mainly meme coins. It kind of felt like that, but it was more utility type projects. Okay. So, that was for me as an investor, it was a lot easier to evaluate that type of project as opposed to the meme coins. The meme coins were just kind of like, you were evaluating it based off the popularity of like an animal or some, thing that happened in pop culture that week, month. But with utility, you could take more of a serious investor's approach to it. You could evaluate the team, the fundamentals, the tokenomics, all sorts of stuff like that. So that kind of resonated with me a lot better. And here I am now, 6, 7 months later.
Awesome, man. Well, I think one of the things you do very well and is really appreciated is you're not afraid to call out certain projects. I see it.
Of course.
Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of iffy about that. But I want to dig into virtuals. And Nick, the first thing I want to start with. A lot of people are excited about this. I'm going to share my screen here. This is from one of the founders of virtuals. Super excited to team
Yeah.
up with the Nethermind crew to launch Iris. So this is going to be the first one that you can claim on the ETH mainnet. You still have to go through the pledging process on Base, but you got to claim it on ETH. So now essentially it'll be Base, Solana, and ETH. And he continued on to say, why ETH mainnet? Probably the most contrarian decision we've have to made. He mentioned highest TVL, but the least applications among the top chains, saying that hey, there's some potential there. Talking about expensive gas fees, but. Nick, you think this is the right move? What are your thoughts on this? And you think this could spark a big rally in Ethereum?
It's tough to say how it'll affect Ethereum as a whole. But I do think it's a good move because, if you go look at how much money is floating around on any given chain, which is one of the fundamental things you should look at when you're, deciding where to invest in an ecosystem. Um, Ethereum has like billions and billions of dollars floating around on it. Like, there's nothing that even comes close. Even Base probably has what, 10 billion. Ethereum has like over $100 billion in just stable coins or something like that. So I think it's a very good move by the virtuals team. It is pretty ripe over there on Ethereum for new projects and platforms. I mean, when's the last time you had a big hyped coin launch on Ethereum mainnet? Can you guys remember the last time that happened? I can't. So
Pepe?
yeah, that combined with all the money floating around, I think this has the potential, the Iris coin, to go higher than almost anything else we've ever seen come out of virtuals. Maybe even a billion plus TV or not TVL, a billion plus market cap.
Really?
It just depends. Yeah, it could. It
Wow.
could.
Nick, I look at another virtuals led project, right? Was Luna. And I
Yeah.
don't know where Luna's sitting at, but it's had a, like every other of the AI agents, but I don't know. You think it'll surpass something like Luna and some of the other things, Game, which is the framework there with virtuals. You think it's got the potential to surpass all of those?
Yeah, I think it does. Again, just because of the amount of money floating around on the chain. I mean, it's a lot easier for people to invest in stuff. They don't have to bridge it over. Um, and there's probably a lot of people that have had money or do have money sitting on Ethereum mainnet, and they just haven't really had anywhere to put it. A lot of these people park it in, uh, yield generating
Yeah.
funds and stuff like that, protocols. Just the reason they do that is because Ethereum mainnet has such high security and it's very decentralized. So it's a safe, if you got like $100 million in stable coins, it's a very safe place to put it on Ethereum and generate yield because you don't really care about the transaction fees when you have that much money, and it's secure, right? So there's a lot of money on Ethereum mainnet, and I do think that those people that have money sitting on there, why wouldn't they throw a bunch of money at this? There's some big whales on Ethereum, so and that plus the utility of the project, the reputation of the company behind it. It's got a lot more utility than Luna, for example, which is
Yeah.
just basically an influencer agent. And Game is more of a framework protocol. It's a lot more abstract of a concept, and you know, I think this is a lot easier for people to understand what it does. AI combined with contract security, it's
Makes sense.
easy to understand. Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Nick. Is there's so much money and people are sitting on ETH, and as the price goes up, they're like, well, what am I going to do? And here you go, you got the best team. And
Yeah.
we have a guy.
Exactly.
We have one of our friends, Forrest, who joins. Has been joining us for 4 years. He's the one that put me on virtuals. He got in fairly early as well, and we both say it all the time. Virtuals might have the best team in all of crypto, and how they've been able to pivot and what they do. And you did have a post up on your X handle, which, by the way, if you guys aren't following Nick, highly recommend you go follow him at Nick Plays Crypto. But Nick, I want to ask you, you are advising, I don't want to say a lot of projects, but I've seen your name thrown on
Yeah.
certain projects. Can you give us maybe 3 bullet point things that you personally are looking for before you decide that I'm either going to invest or I'm going to help, get on board with this project and help their team?
Absolutely. There's a couple main things that you look for. One of them is the concept of the agent. Is it something that potentially has a viable revenue generating mechanism behind it? I mean, that's the underlying assumption when people invest in these AI agents, which are, in my eyes, akin to a small startup, AI startup. The underlying assumption, the reason why they're so bullish to begin with, is because people expect on some level or not that these will autonomously somehow go out there and generate their own money. There's got to be a point where you kind of turn them loose and they do something automatically that makes money. There's not a lot that have achieved that yet. There's a couple. And then, beyond that, you look at the team. It's like, okay, you got a great idea. It's possible that could generate revenue, like the concept. Is the team capable of following through? Who's on the team? Is it just a couple degens, or do you have like 3 PhDs in machine learning? That's something you look at too. Um, Beyond that, I also look at the tokenomics, the lockup of the tokens. The sweet spot for me, the ideal lockup on those tokens, meaning they aren't accessible to the developers, meaning they can't just rug you or sell them at any given time, is 6 months. The reason I like 6 months is because that gives the investor ample opportunity to fairly evaluate the project and how it's doing, its progression from a development perspective, how the team is being managed, how they're communicating with the investors, all of that. I've seen people be able to fake all of these things, development, without producing anything substantive. I've seen people be able to fake it for 2, 3 months, 4 months, maybe even, but to fake that for 6 months, to keep a charade going for 6 months, it's virtually impossible for somebody to do that without losing interest or attention. And even if they were faking it, at some point 4 or 5 months in, people are going to be like, okay, where's the meat and potatoes here? So yeah, on that third point, I would say tokenomics. I like it when they're locked up for 6 months. That gives me a good time, a fair chance to exit the token if I feel like it's necessary and I haven't seen any results from the team behind the project.
Awesome. Nick, I want to ask you, I was trying to pull up the Virtuals website, but the Genesis launches weren't loading. Is there one upcoming or one that's live right now? And of course, this is not something that we tell people to do is go buy, but something maybe people should put on their watch list. Outside of Iris, because we know how bullish you are, and I'm pretty bullish on it as well. Is there one that you got your eye on that you're excited for?
There is. It's not listed up there yet, but
Okay.
I'm helping the guy behind the team. The guy is very well known in crypto. He's a big guy that ran and still runs a very big Web3 game. The launch is supposed to be on the 16th. I don't know if that's changed yet. I don't think it has. I don't know when they're going to list it, but I have gotten a few other projects on Virtuals involved with that one. I won't say the name. I haven't been given the
Oh man.
the freedom to say that, but yes, there is one being launched on the 16th that I'm pretty bullish on. So yeah, there's stuff coming. That's for sure.
Okay. And then I'm assuming that when that time comes, you'll be posting it on your social medias and your Discord, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
It'll
guys,
be a good one.
speaking of Nick's Discord, I would highly recommend those of you that are looking to get into the Virtuals ecosystem, that want some alpha, some information, go join Nick's Discord. I have the link in the description, but I'll actually throw it in the chat as well. And then Nick, before I let you go, any parting words or final thoughts you want to give to the people watching?
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys jump into the Virtuals ecosystem. Don't sideline yourself. It's proven to be the most advanced and degen friendly launchpad that we have seen yet. These guys that are playing these courses on there are getting in before the virtual or the venture capitalists are. Right. And I know that for a fact because I talked to a lot of these venture capitalists, and the degens on there are getting in to the tokens at a lower FDV than the venture capitalists are. So they've kind of flipped the script in that regard. So that is a game changer, in my opinion. And, it doesn't take, a ton of extra knowledge to get in and get involved. And the sooner you do that, the better off you're going to be, because it's absolutely insane gains over there. And I expect it to continue for a while. So,
Nick,
follow me,
I couldn't agree more, dude. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's metas, right? And they come maybe in 3-month cycles or 2-month or 1 week, who knows? But I have a lot of faith in Wiki and those guys over at Virtuals. And so they're doing a lot of exciting things. They're continuing to take feedback and making the product better. And so this is something I believe, especially in a sector like AI, who continues to garner headline after headline with new hardware, new software. It's going to remain in the spotlight. And I think Virtuals has really cornered the market. And so I think that was some great advice. Guys, highly recommend go follow Nick on X. Also jump into his Discord to get all the alpha. Nick, it was a pleasure to meet you finally on camera at least. And we look forward to maybe having you back again, brother.
Absolutely. Anytime, David. Appreciate you guys.
Anytime, dude. Take care.
Take
All right. I want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Show is brought to you by CAMS Blue Wire Technology. You guys know they're our longest tenure sponsor. Anything needs to happen with our networking and IT, you just pick up the phone. We hit up our friends over at CAMS, and, well, they just literally walk us through everything. And, well, if you own a business, you want the same level of service, visit BlueWireTech.com. That'll do for the show today. I will be going live on the Cysteine Trading channel in 5 minutes. Come join me. All you got to do is just stay in the chat here. Stay on this stream. You'll automatically be redirected. We're going to take a look at some charts. We'll look at Polkadot. We'll look at Cardano. We'll look at Bitcoin. And we'll see if we can maybe put some trades in live, whether it's on futures or on the crypto markets. That's all I got. Rob? Good? With that being said, Gina. Oh, that's the intro. That's okay. Well,
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members.